this could become a serious political liability because, as they say, the cover-up is often worse than the crime. I have been asking for months now, where are the Jeffrey Epstein files, right? Not because I think they're going to reveal anything particularly important, but because many of the president's allies in media have been clamoring for the release. And by the way, when it came to other files being released that provided no relevant additional information that were demanded for by the base, the administration moved with sort of lightning speed from JFK to RFK files and documents. So I've been asking, what has been the holdup on the Epstein files? And I continued to wonder if it's because Donald Trump and maybe JFK Jr. were both very friendly with Jeffrey Epstein and would certainly be part of any document dump that included all the flight logs, etc. Well, shocker. Today we learn that the administration is not going to release the Epstein files at all. I mean, come on. In explaining its decision not to release any other documents, logs, names from the investigation, the memo from the Department of Justice says that one of the government's, quote, highest priorities is combating child exploitation and bringing justice to victims, before saying, quote, perpetuating unfounded theories about Epstein serves neither of these ends. They say no further charges will be brought in connection with the case, so there's nothing else to release, right? Since it's clear that Epstein killed himself. But why would releasing the information lead to new unfounded theories? New ones, right? The DOJ saying in the letter that investigators found no incriminating client list of Epstein's, no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals, and no evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Okay. But there was no list or new charges brought in the JFK or RFK cases either. So why not still release them after promising to do so for months? Now, of course, Elon Musk has said previously that the answer is clear. Said a few weeks ago on X. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. And today, Musk has been trolling Trump as part of a renewed feud after the budget bill, saying ominously, quote, this is the final straw. Look, this is not the biggest story of the day. I recognize that. But I do believe this could become a serious political liability because, as they say, the cover-up is often worse than the crime. Now, the conclusion about the cause of Epstein's death being suicide is hardly surprising, and it's consistent with what Deputy Director Dan Bongino said on Fox News back in May.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Okay. But remember, this was Dan Bongino shortly before he got the job as deputy director.
Oh, and now with the DOJ flipping over, folks, if we don't uncover the full Epstein story, there is a huge hole in the follow the money, follow the influence picture.
He's not there calling for investigations and prosecutions. He's saying follow the money. And now the FBI director, Kash Patel, sort of supporting this now administration position. Remember, he had gone even further in an interview with Glenn Beck late last year.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is that. I mean, there's
that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
The Black Book. It's not just sitting. I mean, that's Hoover power times 10.
And to me, that's a thing I think President Trump should run on. On day one, roll out the black book.
He's talking about the black book, not potential crimes. Two different issues. When asked, President Trump has said, I'm going to ask my Attorney General, Pam Bondi, about it. Now, she had said it was on her desk, all the documents, within weeks of her confirmation. And here's what she told Fox News' Jesse Waters. It's now over 4 months ago.
200 victims, 200. So we have over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. But other than that, I think tomorrow, the personal information of victims. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
What kind? Are we going to see who was on the flights? Are we going to see any evidence from what he recorded? Because he had all of his homes wired with recording devices.
Yeah. What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information.
Flight logs, names, not talking about crimes. But of course, she released almost nothing, basically no new information at that time. Now, Musk's theory sure seems to have a ring of truth to it. Think about the timeline. 6 days after saying she was preparing the release, she then claimed that the FBI had withheld documents from her, and that was causing delays. Then about a month later, the Attorney General said this on Fox News about the delays.
Tens of thousands of pages of documents and hundreds of victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Wow. So the FBI, they have been working round the clock at my directive, at Kash Patel's directive. Now Dan Bongino's there, who is a great asset for all of us at the FBI as well. But yeah, we have to protect their identity, their personal information to make sure they're safe. But other than that, we are releasing all of these documents as soon as we can get them redacted to protect the victims of him, of all of these horrific crimes that he committed.
Right. We're just redacting the names. That's it. That's it. Then we're going to be releasing it all. And right around the same time she said that, in late March, reports emerged that FBI agents were supposedly working through the night to redact material and get all of those documents out. Dan Bongino then said, quote, "The director and I are working through many of the transparency issues. We're focused on getting this done the right way and as quickly and efficiently as possible. Many of these cases involve victims, both young and old, who we will not allow to be re-victimized by a rushed and sloppy effort." Okay. So now we know, though, that they aren't releasing any of it, apart from the video from Epstein's cell that makes it clear he killed himself. You tell me why. So what's the evidence we know of tying Trump or even RFK Jr. to Epstein? Well, most importantly, there are the flight logs, right? Last year, Donald Trump said on social media, "I was never on Epstein's plane or at his stupid island." Except for the fact that flight logs released in 2021 as part of Ghislaine Maxwell's trial showed Trump flew on the plane 7 times over the course of the 1990s and early 2000s. Why would he lie about that? Trump told New York Magazine in 2002, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy." This is before there were any public allegations against Epstein. Quote, "He's a lot of fun to be with," Trump said then. Quote, "It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." Then there's video of Trump and Epstein chatting it up and laughing at a party in 1992 at Mar-a-Lago with a room full of NFL cheerleaders talking about how hot one woman was. There's a photo of the two at Mar-a-Lago in 1997. Another in 2000. You see Ghislaine Maxwell and Melania Trump there as well. And then there's an audio tape. Author Michael Wolff says it's allegedly him talking to Epstein, where Epstein says he was Donald Trump's closest friend. Now, RFK Jr., who was on Epstein's private jet on at least 2 occasions, once in 93 and then again a year or 2 later, according to Kennedy. Both Trump and RFK Jr. have downplayed their ties to Epstein over the years. And to be clear, there are prominent Democrats attached to Epstein, too. This isn't about who it is, like Bill Clinton, who reportedly took more than 24 flights on the Epstein plane. And others like Bill Gates, who met with Epstein at his Manhattan townhouse at least 3 times in the early 2000s. But it wasn't the Clinton administration that promised the release of all the logs and names. Some, in an effort to defend the president, have cited a comment by an attorney for Epstein that they say clears Trump. David Schoen, a lawyer who worked for Epstein for all of 9 days before he died, said, quote, "I can say authoritatively, unequivocally, and definitively that he had no information to hurt President Trump. I specifically asked him." I'm not sure how he could say it authoritatively or definitively by just relying on Epstein's word in his short time with him. But let's even assume that's true. What does that even mean? I mean, just being associated with Epstein, hanging out with Epstein on numerous occasions, isn't good for Donald Trump. Now, it's true, there is no evidence of President Trump or RFK or Clinton or Gates or any of them doing anything illegal or even improper with Epstein at this point. But the decision today to completely reverse course and not release any more Epstein files or documents makes Elon Musk's comments seem particularly timely, maybe persuasive. But look, I don't think that this is the end of it. I have to believe that someone from the previous administration who's seen all of the Epstein files will eventually disclose what's actually in there and what's not. Until then, by the way, it might be time for Trump to mend the latest dust-up with Elon Musk, because Musk has been on the warpath about this today.